Testing 1 2. Peace and blessings, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Nice Thursday afternoon. Yeah, I wanted to highlight my brother because I was just watching some footage of him the other day, last night. And I'm gonna tell you, Cedric. I see Cedric. Peace to you, Cedric. James Davis. I see you in the building. Peace, brother. I want to say that Zion Lex, to me, have become a great Israelite scholar and is now working on becoming a Kemetic scholar. And this brother is going to be a great Kemetic scholar. Why am I saying this? Because all he do is study. All this brother do is study. And his breakdown of the Medu Neter is so much easier to understand than other people. When people say, oh, you know, Dr. Ben is my teacher and I learned from Dr. Ben and Dr. Jeffries. But Zion Lex, I feel that he have now surpassed a lot of Egyptian teachers. Yep, I'm going to say it. I don't care if you get mad at it or not. Just because he's an Israelite don't mean nothing to me. I'm going by what I see. And this brother is a good teacher. And his breakdown is crystal clear. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
What we're looking at right here is a funerary scenery. In this particular scenery, you have the Sioux plant.
This brother is capable now of going to the Metropolitan Museum and going to the Kemetic side and breaking down the Medu Neter. He does it better than those who've been studying the Medu Neter for damn near 20 years. I would say he probably been studying the Medu Neter for what, 2 years? 2 years? He is a natural born educator. Get mad if you will. I'm just giving you how I feel about it. Let's go.
What we're looking at right here is a funerary scenery. In this particular scenery, you have the Sioux plant. It forms the word Sioux. The oval is a bread loaf and it makes the T sound. And the table that has bread on it, showbread, it's Hotep, so it's actually HTP. And this is the T sound. The triangle that you're looking at gives you the D sound, and the single reed leaf gives you I. So far you have a Hotep de Nisut, which means an offering which the king gives. And the reed leaf gives you the I sound, the water symbol gives you an N, and the mat gives you a P. So that's Anubis, or in the Egyptian language, Anpu. So this is saying Hotep de Nasut, an offering which the king gives to the god Anubis, or in the language of the hieroglyphs, Anpu. The head that you see in profile is Tep. It's how you say first, chief, or beginning. And the mat again gives you the P sound. So this literally is a title of Anubis, calling him the foremost chief. So it's Tep and then Tooth. That hill that you see gives you the T sound, and the F is the snake, and it's acting as a masculine pronoun. So it literally translates as an offering which the king gives to Anubis, he who sits, and this is the reed leaf again giving you the I or A, and then the cross gives you the M, and the chick gives you U. So it's Amut. He who sits upon his hill, that's Tep Tooth upon his hill, Amut, embalmed in the chamber of mummification.
Y'all see what I'm talking about? See how he goes into it? Clear, precise, breaks it down crystal clear, without stumbling, without mumbling, without no. Go sit your ass down somewhere. This brother here is a clear teacher, clear teacher. And he is surpassing so many people that have been in the Medu Neter. All right? So let's continue.
These are all titles of Anubis. Anubis is he who sits upon his hill, or Tep Tooth, and it says Amut, which literally means the dweller in the chamber of embalmment. What this is signifying here is extremely significant. The loaf that we're looking at here gives you the sound Neb, which is like Lord. And the symbol here with the two edges pointing down, that's Ta. That's the symbol for land. So it's actually calling Anubis the Lord of the land, or the Lord of the cemetery, because this is, again, a funerary scenery, so we're talking about the afterlife. The hill that you're looking at gives you the Q sound, and the R gives you, the mouth gives you an R sound, and the loop gives you an S. This is QRS, or Christ. Why is that so significant? In Christianity, Christ is the one who prepares you for life eternal. In this funerary scene, Anubis is preparing the dead body for life eternal. The only difference is this scenery predates Christianity by almost 1,500 years.
See that?
So that means 1,500 years before Christianity is on the world scene, you have Anubis being described as the one who prepares you for life eternal.
See this breakdown, man? Nice, clear, and precise, where you can go and do your research and study it. Let's go on.
And obviously, this is the sepulcher, or the dead body, in the coffin or the sarcophagus, and it's referred to in the language of the hieroglyphs or the Medu Neter as a sahu, which means the mummy. So again, this is an offering which the king gives to Anpu, or Hotep de Nasut Anpu Tep Tooth, which means he who sits upon his hill. And then you have the reed leaf, which is the I, and then you have the cross, which is the M, and you have the quail chip, which gives you an U, and again you have the bread loaf, which gives you a T. So that's Amut, he who sits upon his hill, and then the word Amut, which means the dweller in the chamber of embalmment, because again, it's a funerary scene. And lastly, we see the hill, which gives you Q, and we see the mouth, which gives you R, and we see the loop, which gives you S. That's QRS, or Christ. In the Egyptian native language called Medu Neter, but it was called by the Greeks hieroglyphics, the term Christ literally means the one who prepares you for life eternal, or the afterlife. So that later on in Christianity, the term Christ was applied to Jesus, because he is also the one that prepares you for life eternal, or the afterlife.
He just showed us where all of that stuff come from, the Christ and all of that, right here on this wall of the Medu Neter, where he breaking it down. No one has done that. Nobody's done that. You know why? Because a lot of the Kemetic brothers are too arrogant. And I've asked them many times, I said, Shaka, do you think it's important, being that we talk about it, we have these discussions and debates? So I spoke to a lot of Israelite brothers, a lot of Kemetic brothers, and I asked them, do you think you should study the Hebrew? I ain't got to study that I ain't got to study that stuff. Yes, you do. Because you're supposed to study all things. Imagine if Zion said that. See, that's what makes him a great scholar. That's what makes Zion surpass a lot of people in the Kemetic community. Because now he got on his back, he took the time to study the Medu Neter. And he already know the Hebrew fluently. Can you imagine? I'm not going to call Zion a Kemetic scholar yet. I'll give him another 2 to 3 years or 4 years, something like that, before he really break out and teach us some of the things that some people won't tell us. You know why? Because when you know the Hebrew, this is why it's important. When you know the Hebrew language and you connect the dots with the Medu Neter, so that's why it's so easy for Zion to know it, because he knows the Hebrew. You see? He know the Hebrew. And it's easier for him to learn it. So this brother, he gets an A+ in my book if I was to grade this. Here he is at the museum with Reggie. And the brother's doing this thing. There's a lot of people jealous of Zion. So the Kemetic community gets mad and get jealous at him because he don't supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be over there with the Hebrews. Why? Because you don't know it like him? Nah, he belongs here.
All the interesting things about this, like the decorations of their clothing, but this to say this definitively is having anything to do with the Hebrews. I have to be careful. Is well, we have to follow our leads, right? So I would say that to say that this is a biblical event, I would say that that's not. But what I would say is that it's important to study the peoples, right?
Can I add my impetus?
Of course.
All right, come on, Zion. Let's go in, man. Let's show the people how it's done, brother. A clear breakdown of our brother Zion Lex, the way he breaks down the Medunetza. Let's go.
Let me say this.
Zion, you have a different opinion, right?
Absolutely.
I thought so.
Okay, let me add my impetus to what we're looking at. It's critical that we talk about the chronology, right? It's the 12th dynasty. The 12th dynasty is the 1800s. The 1800s is about the time period of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. In the biblical narrative, with respect to Jacob's son Joseph,
that's why it's important to know the Hebrew. See? This is why Zion could connect the dots, because he see it all right there. Let's go.
the Bible says that Joseph comes into Egypt as a captive.
Yeah.
As a captive, he's enslaved. Then the Bible.
See, the other Kemetic scholars, they don't know the Hebrew. They don't really know the Torah. Zion is a master, a scholar in the Torah. So now it's easier for him to connect the dots with the Kemet side.
Says his brothers come later, but they don't come as captives, they don't come as slaves, but they come as simple foreigners and even bearing goods. Because in the biblical narrative, they're not coming empty-handed. They're coming with their family, they're coming with their livestock, similar to the scenery. And it's good that Brother Reggie said, this is not the full scenery. Because if you saw the full scenery, here, there's a huge Egyptian official, and there's a record. So the Amu or the Hikkasut are coming in, and they're also bearing trade goods. And what they're trading here is eye paint. That's what you see in the scenery here. Behind here, you see their wives and you see their children. So it is not definitive to say that's Joseph and these are his brothers, but it is definitive to say that this scenery is consistent with the biblical record. Within the time frame, the 12th dynasty, the 1800s, this is the era of the patriarchs. Joseph is said to have what? A coat of many colors. This is consistent with the record. So I like what Brother Reggie is saying insofar as definitively you're not going to say that this is Joseph and these are his brothers. But definitively looking at the scenery and interpreting the Medunetza, you can absolutely say that it's consistent with the biblical record, which is very important because you can see the kneeling captive wearing a white apron. So we know that the Egyptians had white paint.
So is it a possibility that maybe they could have plagiarized this scene?
Who?
And put it in the Bible? You said no?
No.
Well, what happens is, the difference is a lot of stories contribute.
So you can see how Zion clearly goes in and breaks this down. Excellent. Excellent teaching, brother.
Talking about a simple servant. You have to understand that this determinative is certainly indicative of what is described as a seker ankh.
Yeah, but you're saying that he is a servant for life.
Well, that is what seker ankh means.
Right. But but we're seker ankh here. It's not here.
Right.
So you're using a determinative. Let's see, a determinative can add to a word's meaning. right? So if I saw this at the end on the determinative of the word, then I can say it, but it's not there. So I can't say because like for example, these people are not prisoners.
No, they're not.
So,
Which is consistent with the
but
record.
it's identifying them as
Right.
this. So let's just leave this for now, and maybe we can go over it a little bit later, right?
I like to build with you, man.
Yeah, jump in.
I mean, this is the B'nai Hassan mural. If you ever go on a tomb, this little portion is just a mark. I mean, it's a huge place.
Yes.
And these particular individuals, I think they make up like a half of our right. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
But
Can't
Eurocentric
touch it.
scholars,
They're gonna get us. So
This is the
don't touch
thing.
anything. Matter of fact, step back
Oh, I'm
because
sorry.
no, what happens is that when they come, that's what they use. Right? Go ahead.
Eurocentric scholars, when they was in search for the Hebrews in ancient Kemet, they found the most white-looking European people they can find and said, aha, here's the Hebrews. So I like to build with Zion Lex on that because I believe these people they say they're Amu, and the Amu come from the northern part of Syria.
Turkey.
Yeah, they from these people, these are like Indo-Europeans here.
Yes, they are.
So it kind of
They come
takes
from
it out of
Haran.
that concept of the Hebrews.
No, but see, there's all different groups intermingling. So we can't say without information, without the
On the throne, right? And as you're going to see when we go to Kemet, you can see the same phenotype, and we know they're not in the area.
Well, the whole point of it is, listen, what we want to do is have a scholarly conversation and listen. But these are the people who decimated.
Kemet's sway went as far as the Levant.
What I was articulating, it's what I was trying to do lightly, because I'm not coming here to do a whole lot of back and forth. The difference is they invaded Kemet, had Kemet for a while, and then were pushed out, not just because of Kemet, but because of other empires wanting to come in. Yeah.
Once Assyria took over Egypt, Egypt was never the same.
Egypt was never completely the same. Other invaders came in.
Completely.
Right.
That was the end of the greatness of Egypt when Assyria came in, brother.
They never
recovered.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna need Zion to come in to really break this thing down and give us the correct teaching, the way Zion do it, because I like the way he breaks it down clearly, so we can all understand.
They take the people of Kemet and then they import. They take the people of Kemet.
They would conquer a people.
Matter is, yes. Then
speak of the Assyrian culture in part because it mimics several things taught in the Bible. For instance, this is a remnant of the tree of life, the Eitz Chaim. It's also over there. He's holding a cone in his hand, which he's taken from his pouch. That's symbolic of the pineal gland.
See how he goes more in depth? See how he breaks down every little thing that you see? This is why I say Zion has surpassed a lot of Kemetic so-called teachers. He's very articulate. Thank you, James. Right, let's go.
He's now taking the cone, the pineal gland, and he's presenting it to the tree of life. People in Kemet can't do this kind of research because most people that study Kemet don't understand their Eastern culture.
And the told that you can find Horus and all types of Egyptian Neferu.
Watch this.
In the same position.
Watch this. This man right here, this man right here, I want everybody to notice something, all right? You see his wings? Obviously, this is not a human being. So this is a mythical scene. This man is supposed to represent who the Assyrians call Ashur, Ashur. That is the parallel to Kemet's Asar. Same exact thing. Because in the Hebrew language or in the Semitic languages, the shin and the sin are interchangeable, the SH and the S. So in Kemet, they say Asar, but in Assyria, they say Asur. But they are worshipped the same. You can find the same emblems. You can find the same culture. So if we're not talking about this,
See, Zion is on a whole different level. It's time for the younger ones to come up and step up now. He's on a whole different level with it when he comes with it. You see?
This aspect of it, we're missing so much.
And this is a biblical character in the Bible named a soul.
Okay, so can I have the mic?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so, look,
Like completely distinct in Mesopotamia. What if they have a common ancestor and the three of them are witness to the same phenomenon? No one is plagiarizing from the other. There's a common ancestor from which these traditions come down, and they all inherit them. Hence why they're all able to tell the same stories. It is a child's mentality to automatically assume that because me and you have the same story and you told your story first, I plagiarized from you.
Right.
What about the idea that we may have a common ancestor that passed these traditions down that we all are privy to?
that's fine.
And that's
See,
the Ethiopian.
no.
Like,
That's
you agree
fine.
with that, right,
This is that it's fine to make. I challenge you.
Culture. Remember, the Assyrians don't come on the scene until after the 700s. This is long after the rich empires of Sumer and Akkadian. So if I was to look at Kemet, in the 8th century and 7th century, if I was to look at Kemet in the 8th and 7th century and judge the overall culture based on what I see there, that would be a horrible thing to do. So you can't look at here to see that. Now, he said something that was important. He said African culture venerates the woman, and you don't see that here. And he's right, because by the time you get to the 8th century, by the time you get to the Assyrians, you do not see that because they have lost much of their way. But ask Brother Reggie this question. Do you know who Enheduanna is?
Oh, what is the Sumerian female deity?
She is the daughter of Sargon I. She is a priestess. Before Kemet even has a priestess, there's a priestess in Sumer known as Enheduanna, the daughter of Sargon the Great.
And which text? Wait 1 second. So, okay, so you're saying before there's a priest in Kemet?
No. Before there's a priestess.
Before there's a priest.
Before there's any priestess in Kemet, you have Enheduanna. She's also.
What's the date?
I'm giving you the date. 2300 BC.
2300
Uh-huh,
BC.
uh-huh.
23 remember that. Right?
2300 BC.
2300 BC
Uh-huh.
is the first time that you find.
Is the earliest priestess in the world. And watch this. I'm going to add something to this because he can't trace me on this. She's also the world's oldest author in the sense that she's the first one to add her autograph to any literary work.
Here's the thing. So we're in this culture, right? I just want you to guess here. I know.
how you will.
Another
Watch
period.
This
Mesopotamian community. Yeah, I'm saying that there's
a culture which is so far away can impact Kemet. How is it not possible that a culture which is contemporary with her and much closer to her cannot have an impact as well? The Congo region, the Great Lakes region, remember Africa is huge, right? I have the kilometers in my phone that I can actually tell you the actual difference. The Congo region is so much further from Kemet than Kemet is from Sumer. So if it is a fact that Kemet can get her culture from such a far away culture, how is it not possible that she can also have elements of her culture from a more closer culture?
Can I have the mic? Okay, so what all I'm just trying.
Yes, but there's not enough context given.
Okay.
And rightfully so, because you don't understand.
No, because I don't have to, because I'm not here to do all of that.
But if you're going to explain it, you have
But they
to be
are,
able
can I simply say
Uh-huh.
that these are ancient Canaanite gods without putting any anything unnecessary in?
I tell you why I even added my impetus. When you came here, you said, these are the Canaanite gods, these are deities, and you even said Yahweh. You know that Yahweh is the chief deity, as it were, of the children of Israel. The people of Canaan spoke the same language as the Hebrews. So yes, they have a quote-unquote God called El.
Teach, Zion. See that? We've been too arrogant to teach, to study all the other stuff, the Canaanites and all the other stuff. So now that's why you can't compare the two. See, Zion he sees it. He studied the Canaanites. He studied Sumer. He studied Israel. He studied the Hebrew. And now he's studying the Middle Netra. And so that's why I say he is the most clear and precise teacher Not the best one, but I'm saying when it comes to a lot of other Kemetic teachers, he surpassed them by far. And of course, I'm not saying my brother Asar Imkar, Jonathan Owens, they still at the top of their game to me. But a lot of other ones, he surpassed them by far because he knows how to break it down. And some people will even get mad and get jealous and think that, you know, yo, listen, you're still in the limelight from me. You're still in the shine from me, bro. I don't want you to talk. I don't need you talking on this talk.
But they also speak the same language.
But you took me out of context. I said until Yahweh came, Yahweh became the chief God in that religious context, right? But in the context of, but it became the chief as far as world history is concerned, as far as today. All right, so let's right. So what I'm just trying to say is I'm just showing the elements for the family, simply of the evidence that this museum has, without the big fights. I'm not here to fight you, but you want to fight me on every step on simple things. On simple things.
Because there are many people that are worshipped, or many deities worshipped in Canaan that can be found in Egypt. Likewise, there were Canaanite deities that were worshipped in Kemet. These are the conversations that no one is talking about, because more people are interested in having.
See that? These are the conversations that nobody's talking about. Nobody talking about that. That's what makes Zion by far a better teacher, because he combined the Hebrew and the Medu Neter, and now he sees where it all plays out at. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody.
It sits on the African tectonic plate. Having said that, Israel also enjoys the same culture that you can see on the continent of Africa. When it comes to the mythology, this is the very reason why we argue about whether or not the Bible stories come from Kemet versus whether it is our own story, because of the fact that the cultures are so similar. So to separate Canaan from Africa, knowing that it is culturally related, hence why we even argue over plagiarism. It is even lineage-wise related, because there are many people that are worshipped, or many deities worshipped in Canaan that can be found in Egypt. Likewise, there were Canaanite deities that were worshipped in Kemet. These are the conversations that no one is talking about, because more people are interested in having a linear, and I'm not saying you, Brother Reggie, because I give you one of the highest respect, so this is not directly to you, but most people, as you know, are very linear when it comes to Kemet.
So what I'm just trying to simply say is that
Muhammad,
and you can use the people's story is an actual
not all of
it family, right? Okay. So here's the thing. Stay for 1 second.
Of knowledge. This is my area.
Own thoughts and their own spiritual things, but what we're doing is we're looking for the artifacts simply to find it. Because
let me say this before
here you go.
we move on.
I gotta go to the I gotta go to the museum with Zion. Me and his brother gotta go. Me and his brother definitely gotta go, because I want him to go in where nobody can stop him, nobody breaks him, nobody try to challenge him out there. I just want him to flow.
I'm gonna leave, and the reason why I'm gonna leave is because, and I'm gonna say this in the spirit.
See, he's leaving now because his people started getting mad and getting jealous that he knows what he know. So he don't want to mess up the thing. He just say, you know what, I want to leave, man. I'm gonna leave. I thought it's supposed to be a build together, but because Zion have evolved so much and elevated so much in the Medu Neter, other people tends to get mad and jealous and upset.
That I feel it. Reggie cannot deal with me in this area of knowledge. This is my area. Reggie is not capable at this moment in time of going into great detail in Mesopotamia. I know I can go greater in Kemet than Reggie can go in Mesopotamia, which is our opposite skill sets. I didn't know that Reggie wasn't aware that I was coming. And Reggie is somebody that I call a saber, a teacher. I respect him. And I don't want to make him feel like I'm ruining his tour. But I will tell you that I challenge you, since we are in the museum, if you want to wait, when you finish this tour, I could give you this work in any room you want to go in, especially Kemet. Okay.
And with that, family, bam, you know, people started getting jealous and mad. But let's go to Zion, man, where he's going a little more deep, where I brought him in, sat him down, and gave him this topic.
You're now tuned into the best, the house of consciousness. On Black News 102. You can't front, you know you through. Saneter studio. It's for them that truly know. Saneter TV too. Bring the real talk to me and you.
Are the Hebrews really Canaanites?
Oh man.
Yeah, because we dealt with the Summa. I think you really dropped it on that, and that's going to be powerful. That's going to be downloaded in the records. Now let's talk about this here. Are the Hebrews really Canaanites?
I heard Brother Garfield say this, and I don't like to use this term, but I think it's silly. And to use the words of Brother Jabari, and this lets me know Brother Jabari is going to have a field day with Brother Garfield. Because as much as Brother Garfield has grown, there's still a great deal of sloppiness to his scholarship. It's extremely sloppy to say that Canaanites are the original Hebrews. You know why, Saneter?
Why? What you gonna pull out, man? This shows you that this brother's serious about his scholarship.
Oh, I'll find it. It's somewhere here. There are a series of letters that were written by Canaanite kings to the Egyptian kings. These are known as the Armana letters, Brother Saneter. These letters are being recorded about roughly 1300 BCE. Okay? In these letters, in the Armana period, Canaanite kings are writing to the Nisut in Egypt, the king in Egypt, telling him that the Hebrews, who you just released, are now coming into Canaan, and they are taking the king's territory. At that time, Egypt ruled Canaan. We need you to send archers. We need you to send warmen. The Hebrews are taking over. If the Hebrews are Canaanite, Brother Saneter, why are the Canaanites speaking about them like they're different from them? Why are the Canaanites not calling them my brothers? Why are they calling them Hebrews and not Canaanites? In fact, Saneter, by default, the Armana letters becomes proof of part of the Exodus. Because in the Armana letters, the Canaanite kings say to the Pharaoh, the Hebrews that just came out of Egypt are now entering Canaan. I thought the Hebrews wasn't in Egypt, brother. The Armana letters is historical, Saneter. You could pull it up right now. And it was given to the Nisut that sat on the throne in ancient Kemet. And he saw this. And he sent back and he told them, you got to war it out on your own. I can't help you with this one. But Saneter, he never said to them, who are these Hebrews you spoke about? Hebrews never was in Egypt. Saneter, he doesn't say, who are these Hebrews? I never heard of them. The Hebrews was in Egypt, Saneter. The Armana letters are proof of it. Because as the Canaanites are writing to them, the Pharaoh or the Nisut doesn't send back word and say, I never heard of them. What are you talking about?
So in Garfield's book, I think he really believes that he found the jewel, and I think this might be documented in his book. If these writings are in Garfield's book calling the Hebrews the real Canaanites, then that means his book probably already got flaws in it. Y'all gonna have a field day with this book.
His book is already flawed. Garfield is telling people now, because of the coronavirus, that his book has been pushed back. Hopefully what I'm saying here today is going to push it back even further, because he got to take a lot of stuff out of his book. It is so sloppy to say that Hebrews are Canaanites when we have historical records in Kemet right now on display at the Cairo Museum has the Armana. And while we're talking about the Armana tablets, Brother Saneter, do you know that the writing inscribed on the Amarna tablets is in cuneiform, if the Medu Neter is where everyone learns language from, why are not they communicating in Medu Neter? In fact, if Medu Neter is the lingua franca, the language that all of the nations would have known, because remember, according to some historians in the Afrocentric community, everybody's language comes from the Medu Neter. So if that's the case, why are the Canaanites not only not writing in Hebrew or Phoenician script, they're writing in the Akkadian language, utilizing cuneiform script. That is the language on the Amarna tablets. The language on the Amarna tablets is Akkadian, and they're writing it through the cuneiform script, which means, Saneter, the Nisu sitting on the throne can read cuneiform, which shows you, Saneter, during the New Kingdom period, cuneiform was still the lingua franca of the world. Cuneiform was given to us by the Sumerians. The Sumerians left Saneter in 2300 BC, but their stamp, which is writing, is still the lingua franca of the world, because all the way from Old Kingdom Egypt to New Kingdom Egypt, it's still being used as the lingua franca, the language of the day.
Who built the pyramids, the Sumerians or the Kemetic people?
This is an interesting question.
Or the Hebrews? Uh-oh. This is crazy, what y'all about to hear. I asked them, who built the pyramids? The Kemetic people? The Sumerians? Let me go back to that. Let's listen.
Kingdom Egypt to New Kingdom Egypt, it's still being used as the lingua franca, the language of the day.
Who built the pyramids, the Sumerians or the Kemetic people?
This is an interesting question.
Or the Hebrews?
This is an interesting question that I approached during my dialogue with Shaka. Now, I definitely have gone back to the drawing board, as it were, to look at things a little differently. And I want to say a little bit more objectively. I don't think that Hebrews built the pyramids. I certainly don't believe that the engineer of the pyramids to be Kemetic, because I have to say this, when you look at the quote unquote.
Now, check this out. Remember last week, I brought this out. I was asking Smash Rockwell, and we had a build on that. And I was talking about, I feel different about Kemetic people building these pyramids because of the majesty, because of how deep it was and how deep they go underground and where was the tools they used. Zion is saying the same thing. Now, this was about 2 years ago. Zion is saying the same thing, but in a different breakdown, the way he going in on it. Check it out.
World, because all the way from Old Kingdom Egypt to New Kingdom Egypt, it's still being used as the lingua franca, the language of the day.
Who built the pyramids, the Sumerians or the Kemetic people?
This is an interesting question.
Or the Hebrews?
This is an interesting question that I approached during my dialogue with Shaka. Now, I definitely have gone back to the drawing board, as it were, to look at things a little differently. And I want to say a little bit more objectively. I don't think that Hebrews built the pyramids. I certainly don't believe that the engineer of the pyramids to be Kemetic, because I have to say this, when you look at the quote unquote Kemetic record, the Egyptian priest Manetho tells you that the one who was the foreman, the overseer of the building of the pyramids, he said was a shepherd and it was a foreigner. This is in the writings of Manetho. These writings survive today in the works of Josephus. If you want to read about the works of Manetho, which is one of the last Kemetic priests, Manetho was a priest in Egypt, but he was a priest during the period of the Greco-Roman rule. And he was commissioned by them to write a history of the world. And he gives a history of his own people. And he says, when he comes up to the construction of the pyramids, he says that it was a shepherd, it was a foreigner, it was not a native Egyptian. So if it was a shepherd Saneter, and the Egyptians always said the Asiatics are shepherds, well, we may not know which group of Asiatics built it, but we certainly can't say the Kemetics built it. The people of Kemet built it when Manetho tells you we did not. It was engineered by a foreigner. It was engineered by a foreign mind, someone who was not aboriginal to Kemet.
Huh?
Very significant.
So who would this foreigner be, though, brother? Do you
That would
have
be the
any
question of the day.
idea?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Something